England, 16th century, 2 queens enter, 1 throne remains. It's awkward, it's tense, it's about to get bloody. In this corner we have Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, rocking a fierce ruff and a don't-even-think-about-it attitude. In the other, Mary Queen of Scots, known for her fabulous hair, questionable taste in men, and a claim to the English throne that Elizabeth wasn't exactly thrilled about. Buckle up, kids, because this is about to get messy. Elizabeth, savvy minx that she was, knew a thing or two about power. From a young age, she understood the precarious nature of her position. Born into the tumultuous Tudor dynasty, she witnessed firsthand the deadly game of thrones that played out around her. Her father, Henry VIII, had 6 wives, and her mother, Anne Boleyn, met a tragic end. Elizabeth learned early on that marriage could be a dangerous affair. Marriage? Thanks, but no thanks. Elizabeth saw it as a trap, a way to lose her autonomy and power. She was determined to rule in her own right, without a husband to overshadow her. Her decision to remain single was not just a personal choice, but a political strategy. She'd seen what happened to her relatives. Looking at you, Anne Boleyn. The fate of her mother was a constant reminder of the perils of marriage. Anne Boleyn's execution left a lasting impression on Elizabeth, shaping her views on matrimony and power. Instead, she played the field, diplomatically speaking. Elizabeth used her single status to her advantage, engaging in courtly flirtations and diplomatic negotiations. She kept foreign powers guessing, never fully committing to any one suitor. She kept those European princes hanging, dangling the promise of marriage like a carrot on a stick. This tactic allowed her to maintain alliances and keep potential enemies at bay. The prospect of marrying the Queen of England was a powerful lure, and Elizabeth wielded it expertly. Marry me and get England, they thought. But Elizabeth was too shrewd to fall for such promises. She knew that marriage could compromise her authority and make her a pawn in the hands of foreign powers. Liz's response? New phone? Who dis? She had no intention of being controlled by anyone, and her dismissive attitude towards marriage proposals was a clear message to all. Her virginity became a political tool, a shield against unwanted alliances and a source of endless fascination for historians with way too much time on their hands. Elizabeth's choice to remain the Virgin Queen was a masterstroke of political strategy, ensuring her independence and solidifying her legacy as one of England's greatest monarchs. Meanwhile, up north in Scotland, Mary was living a whole different kind of queen life. She went through husbands faster than Henry VIII, bless her heart. First marriage, a French king, dead as a doornail. Second marriage, scandal, murder, the whole shebang. Third time's the charm? Not so much. Mary's love life was a Tudor-era soap opera, complete with betrayal, intrigue, and enough baggage to fill a castle. All this drama didn't exactly endear her to Elizabeth, who was all about that stable monarchy life. Now, Elizabeth wasn't exactly an angel. She had a bit of a temper and a tendency to lock people up when they annoyed her. Understandable, right? But even by Tudor standards, keeping your cousin and rival queen locked up for 19 years was a bit much. Sure, Mary was a Catholic queen with a claim to the throne, but still, 19 years, that's longer than some marriages. And we all know how those turned out for the women in this story. Section 5. Mary's fatal flaw, trusting a queen who doesn't trust anyone, least of all queens. This is a tale of 2 queens, each with their own ambitions, fears, and insecurities. On one side we have Mary, Queen of Scots, a woman of grace and charm, but also of naivety and misjudgment. On the other, Elizabeth I, the formidable Queen of England, shrewd, calculating, and ever so wary of those who might threaten her throne. Mary, bless her cotton socks, made a few teeny-tiny miscalculations. She believed that her royal blood and her rightful claim to the English throne would protect her. But in the cutthroat world of 16th century politics, such beliefs were not just naive, they were dangerous. Mary's trust in Elizabeth was her Achilles' heel, like, for instance, getting involved in plots to overthrow Elizabeth. These plots were not just idle gossip. They were serious conspiracies involving powerful nobles and foreign powers. Mary's involvement, whether direct or indirect, painted a target on her back. Elizabeth, ever the vigilant ruler, had eyes and ears everywhere. And then there was the unfortunate incident of writing incriminating letters. These letters, filled with secret plans and desperate pleas, were intercepted by Elizabeth's spies. It was a fatal mistake. In a world where trust was a rare commodity, putting such dangerous thoughts in writing was akin to signing one's own death warrant. Honey, never put anything in writing, especially if your cousin is the Queen of England and also kind of hates you. Elizabeth, with her network of informants and her sharp political acumen, was always one step ahead. She knew that any written evidence could be used to justify her actions against Mary. It was like Mary was playing chess with a pigeon. She thought she was making strategic moves, but in reality she was outmatched. Elizabeth was not just playing the game, she was rewriting the rules as she went along. She'd make a move, and Elizabeth would just knock over all the pieces, crap on the board, and strut around like she'd won. Elizabeth's triumphs were not just about power, they were personal. She relished in outsmarting her cousin, proving time and again that she was the superior queen, which, to be fair, she kind of did. Elizabeth's reign was marked by stability and strength, while Mary's life ended in tragedy. Trusting a queen who doesn't trust anyone, least of all other queens, was Mary's undoing. In the end, it was Elizabeth's world, and Mary was just living in it. Section 6. The execution off with her head, and on with the Protestant Reformation. So after years of suspicion, intrigue, and enough plot twists to make Shakespeare blush, Elizabeth finally went for the kill, metaphorically speaking. The tension between Elizabeth I and Mary, Queen of Scots, had been simmering for years. Mary, with her strong claim to the English throne, was seen as a perpetual threat to Elizabeth's reign. The political chess game they played was filled with espionage, betrayal, and a constant struggle for power. Elizabeth's advisers had long urged her to eliminate Mary, but the decision weighed heavily on her conscience. She signed Mary's death warrant. It was a momentous decision, one that would change the course of history. Elizabeth's hand trembled as she put pen to paper, knowing that this act would not only end a life, but also send a powerful message to her enemies and allies alike. It was a messy affair, the execution. The execution of Mary, Queen of Scots, was not a simple or clean event. It was fraught with emotion, tension, and a sense of tragic inevitability. The scaffold was set and the crowd gathered to witness the end of a queen. Mary's dog hid under her skirts, refusing to leave her side. This small, loyal companion was a poignant symbol of Mary's humanity and vulnerability. Even in her final moments, she was not alone, and the sight of the dog brought tears to many eyes in the crowd. Even the executioner seemed to feel bad about it. The man tasked with carrying out the grim deed was visibly shaken. His hands were unsteady, and his face was pale. It was clear that this was not just another job for him. It was a moment that would haunt him for the rest of his life. But hey, at least it solidified Elizabeth's power and ushered in an era of Protestant dominance in England. Every cloud, right? The execution of Mary, Queen of Scots, was a turning point. It eliminated a significant threat to Elizabeth's rule and sent a clear message to those who opposed her. The Protestant Reformation gained momentum, and Elizabeth's reign was strengthened. The people of England celebrated, and the nation moved forward into a new era of religious and political stability. Section 7, the aftermath. England wins, Scotland fumes, and Catholics everywhere need a stiff drink. England rejoiced, Scotland fumed, Catholic Europe was all dude, not cool. But Elizabeth, she was riding high. She'd seen off her rival, secured her throne, and looked fabulous doing it. The Spanish Armada, please. She ate Spanish Armadas for breakfast. Metaphorically, of course. She was a queen, not a barbarian. Section 8. A legacy of power struggles, religious upheaval, and seriously impressive roughs. The rivalry between Elizabeth and Mary wasn't just about two queens, two religions, or even two countries. It was a clash of personalities, a battle of wits, and a masterclass in royal shade-throwing. These were powerful women who refused to back down, even when the stakes were life and death. They were flawed, they were fierce, and they left an indelible mark on history. Section 9, in conclusion, it's good to be queen unless you're playing against Elizabeth, and so there you have it. The tragic, dramatic, and occasionally hilarious tale of Elizabeth and Mary. It's a story of ambition, betrayal, and the enduring power of a good ruff. And if there's one lesson to be learned from all this, it's this. Don't mess with Queen Elizabeth first, unless you're into that whole losing your head thing. The end. Or is it? Done, done, done. Please like and subscribe for more content.